Here we go, action. First of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is, here it is. If you're building a Spiderman costume, you figure out, as soon as you get to movie studio, that's what you realize, that you actually have no place to place the microphone. So that's how you put a microphone sender on a Spider-Man costume. And besides that, I like this costume a lot. I wear this 2 years ago in Halloween. It's one of the costumes that actually did come out of package as I expected, as I've seen it online. Because usually you buy stuff and then it turns out that it's not like it doesn't look like the way that you want it to look. But this does. It's interesting, it does. It's a great costume, I love it. More than I like Spider-Man, I like Dark Spider-Man, which is the Venom, when he gets the Venom on him. It brings the Dark Spider-Man in him. He wants to kill, he wants to destroy. He realizes a part of him that he never had before. It boosts up all those bad emotions. That's what the costume does to him. So it's interesting because whenever you meet a character's duplicate, a copy of the character, such as Wolverine, and there's a dark Wolverine, and there's X-Men, and there's a dark X-Men, they're always wearing dark colors. So that is a good idea. So that can be used all the time, because white did symbolize good, and dark did symbolize the darkness within us all the time. So you have this shadow, right? You always carry with it. You have it with you. Shadow is interesting because it is the shape of you, but it is not the 3D version of you. So that is 2D version of you, and it can hide stuff. I mean, it does hide information, that's what it does. Although I have all these information in 3D, but that doesn't. So that's why Carl Jung calls it shadow, because it hides something, a darker side of you. You can also say that because of when the sun hits, the darker side is the shadow part. Well, you call it darker side, you don't call it shadow. Shadow is where it ends up, where the light doesn't ends up. That's what you call shadow in the physical world. I want to make things clear this week. As a writer, you're there to communicate your feelings, not through words. As a screenwriter, you're there to communicate your feelings through the images that people will take the words and change it to images, or the actors will take the words and change it to a character. But because those mediums are just words, you're there to give it a smell, give it a taste, give it a feeling, some feeling. Feeling is what drives people to do something. Okay, there's an example. And I like this example because it allows us to understand ourselves. So, in laboratories, there are mouses, guinea pigs. So what you do, you give it a maze and you place a cheese at the end of it. But here's the difference. This is the example A, okay? What it ends up doing, of course, it finds this cheese eventually because it wants it, because it's hungry. But its speed is like around 5 miles per hour. It's not that high. But by the way, I'm making the numbers up right now, but follow along and it'll make sense to you. And then what they do, and they take the cheese, right? And they place it in another maze, approximately same difficulty. And what they do, they place the mouse and they give it a cat smell. And the exit, it just have an exit. That's what it does. The maze have an exit. It doesn't have cheese. So the mouse runs away from the cat smell. So fears it. It gives it a fear to run away from it. So it's again approximately, let's say, 5 miles per hour. Okay, runs with 5 miles per hour. But the interesting what happens is that when you give it a motivation, meaning cheese, along with cat smell, then it runs with like 10 miles per hour or 20 miles per hour. Because it's not only wants something, but it also runs from something. So that gives it ultimate motivation for the creature, and that is true for you too. When you think about your future and your past, let's stick with future, okay? You have the information about the past. You know that this world functions the way that you think they are. Let's say that's true. So what you do is like, this is, by the way, truly just for you, not for, I'm gonna imply to the stories as well, but here's what you can imply this to your life. You think about your future, you want to do something, okay, you have a motivation, and here's what you do. A year from now, if I do this, where would I be? Where would I be? What would I be doing? How do I look? And then you again write another paper, you again think about it. A year from now, where would I be? What would I be doing? How would I look if I don't do the things that I want to do right now? Cut.